Hi everyone, my name is Juan Carrillo. In this presentation, I'm going to be talking about cannabis use and PTSD, especially why some veterans end up turning to cannabis as a last resort after other treatments haven't worked. Now, I'm not saying cannabis should be the first option. I'm focusing on the facts, the research, and what major health organizations say. I'm also using information from a Vice documentary called Why Marijuana Could Help Save Veterans' Lives, because it shows real stories from veterans going through this. PTSD affects around 4 to 6% of adults in the US, which is about 13 million people. For veterans who serve in Iraq and Afghanistan, the rate are even higher, around 1 in 5. A lot of veterans are put on large combination of prescription medication. Some talk about 20, 25, or even 35 pills a day, including opioids, antidepressants, and anti-anxiety meds. In the Vice documentary, several veterans described feeling numb, hopeless, or trapped while on these medications. Because of experiences like that, some end up turning to cannabis, not as a first option, but because nothing else seems to help. PTSD on its own is already serious, but when you add medication, side effects, and the emotional toll of war, it becomes even more complicated. Research shows that people with PTSD have higher rates of substance use disorder. In the documentary, veterans described losing their families, losing control of their emotions, or ending up in dangerous situations while taking their prescription pill. The documentary also mentions how high the rate of veteran suicide is. Even if the exact number changes over the years, the message is the same. Veterans are struggling, and many feel like the treatment they're given don't work for them. That's why some look for other coping methods like cannabis. The going rate right now that they're saying is 22 veterans are lost a day to suicide. Many veterans report that cannabis helps them calm down, sleep better, or cope with intrusive memories. Some say it helps them be more patient with their family and feel more present again. But scientifically, the evidence is still mixed. Some small studies show potential benefits, but larger reviews say the research isn't strong enough yet. A well known systematic review from 2020 found that cannabis didn't clearly improve PTSD symptoms compared to not using it. Because of that, major guidelines, including the VA and the Department of Defense, do not recommend cannabis as a treatment for PTSD. They still recommend therapy and medication that have more research behind them. There are also risks. People with PTSD can be more likely to develop cannabis use disorder, especially if they use it daily. High THC cannabis can increase paranoia or anxiety for some people, which can make PTSD symptoms worse. The documentary also talks about how different strains can have very different effects. Other concerns in this is that using cannabis to cope might delay someone from getting therapy that could actually help the long term. And because of federal law, veterans can get into trouble with the VA if they test positive for cannabis, even if their state has legal medical marijuana. The treatment with the strongest evidence for PTSD are trauma-focused therapies like cognitive processing therapy and prolonged exposure, along with medications like SSRIs and SNRIs. The Vice documentary explains how the VA cannot prescribe or pay for cannabis because it is still illegal at a federal level. Veterans often sign treatment contracts that says that they can only take VA-approved medication, so using cannabis can put their benefits at risk. The documentary also shows how difficult it is for researchers to study cannabis for PTSD because it's a Schedule 1 drug. Even when researchers follow all the steps, the approved process takes years. Some states allow medical cannabis for PTSD, but the federal law keeps the VA from participating. In closing, cannabis is not an official treatment for PTSD, and the research is still developing. But at the same time, real veterans, including the ones in this documentary, are turning to cannabis when they feel out of options. and many say it helped them function and feel more like themselves. My goal with this presentation is not to take a side, but to show the public health issues, the research we have, and the barriers that veterans face. More research is needed so veterans can have safe and effective treatment options without risking their benefits or breaking federal rule. Thank you.